Hello, good people. I hope you are having a good day. There we go. I need to do all the lovely links. I am slightly late, but it is a-okay. Day 2 of the level 1 companions. That's not how I want that. There we go. There we go. And I also need to post that to Blue Sky. The question of the day is... What? Question of the day. I don't know what this inflection is. The question of the day, for the third time. What is your favorite moment of the past year? I got a few. I need to do things. Boop. Onions, quest line, boop. There you go. It's posted. Alright. And I do not have music going. There we go. I have too many things going on at this moment. Which is not good. That's not helpful for me. So question of the day, again, favorite moment of the past year. I've had quite a few. It's now half the year. I've been focusing on mutation CIP for half a year now. Prior to the past 6 months, it was just a side thing. It was just a hobby. I'd worked on something, I'd edit a video, I'd post a video. It wasn't something I was deliberately, I gotta get this done in this time frame, I gotta get this done now, I gotta do this. It wasn't something I put a huge amount of effort into. This amount of effort I put into it now. But that has since changed. I think that effort switch changed around May-ish. I know I do have a regret of the past year, and it's the hardcore series, because I spent 2 months trying to edit that video because I lost my replay footage. And I wish I didn't focus so much on the early game as I did. Because honestly, I could have just skipped through it. I felt like I had to show all of it when I really didn't, and then I took so long that when I finally got working on the base, which I was very, very, what's the word I want? On something. I couldn't decide. I couldn't decide on what I quite wanted. I'm actually currently experiencing the same problems on Passion SMP right now because I forced myself to get on last night and today to try and bust my head through the brick wall of progress. I take so long on a project and getting a project started that my idea of the project, I take months to get started on a project at times. So by the time I get back to it, I completely disagree with everything I've started on and I want to retry it again and do it at a different angle. Or redo something else. I don't like how it worked out the first time, yada yada yada. It took a month, and the first hardcore episode, I procrastinated for a good week on that. Because I absolutely did not, this was hardcore, I did not want to make a raid farm. I had never made a raid farm before, I had no idea how dangerous it was gonna be. I made a very basic one in the ocean. Yeah. It was very easy. I had close calls later, but at the beginning, I did not have any close calls. And I wish I saved it for after I beat the end, so I could just, because I was also procrastinating beating the end. But something I seriously enjoyed this year is, while I've only been working on it for about 2-3 months now, almost 3 months, is Passion SMP. While I have restarted my base several times now, and there's been various moments, I did greatly enjoy that. And I'm currently, while it's not out at all yet, I'm greatly enjoying working on Colony Craft. I can't remember, I tried to make an SMP of it to race to make the best colony. That didn't launch at all. but I am now working on it as a single player, and I'm having serious fun. I had serious fun with the intro. I had great fun with it, specifically the editing of it, and getting in Colonycraft and editing that is helping me get in the hang of here's ways I would like to edit. I spent time going through shows I liked and seeing what I liked about their editing, what film angles I would like to do, so on. And I seriously enjoyed it. And it's to a point where, like last stream, I'm taking moments to get different POVs just because I've gotten to the hang of it. It's a lot easier in Minecraft when I can just click a button and I get it, but I will still go to that little bit of effort when we're streaming. And something a lot smaller that's coming in the new year. The last episode of Passion SMP that is up. I messed up on my recording. I had Discord muted. I have since separated my audio into tracks. I will never have that problem ever again because I am never touching my audio mixer ever again. It is at the perfect settings. The only reason I could ever want to touch it is if we watch a YouTube video and then I'll unmute my browser. I'm never muting Discord. I'm never muting the game. I'm never muting myself on the audio mixer because I have a little button on my microphone to do it instead, and I will forget to turn back on my microphone, which has happened numerous times. So I'm not touching it. I'm not touching it. If I need the track, then I'll use the track. If Discord accidentally makes a sound, it's fine, because it'll be on a different track. If the game is too quiet, then it'll be on a different track. If I'm too quiet, it's on a different track. It's fine. I'm never touching it again. And something very nice that I love my brother for the holidays, I asked, like, hey, can I just get some cash? I want to upgrade my editing software. I am on Filmora 11. I bought a lifetime license of it. So I've paid for it once. I paid $72, $79, something like that, about 2 or 3 years ago. It has been so long now that Filmora is on version 14. 13 or 14. I'm pretty sure it's 14. But the goal was $80 and he got me $80. So once I'm done with the first episode of Colonycraft, I will be able to use Filmora 14 and upgrade my software, which is fantastic because streaming anniversary is January. It's January 26th. That's what I have in my calendar, and that's what I've celebrated the past few years on. And it'll be the 3rd anniversary, I believe. So I'm pretty sure last time was the 2nd anniversary. So I've been doing this on and off for a while. So this year, January 26th will be the 3rd anniversary. 3 is also my favorite number, so it's fantastic. And I have a project in mind. It's going to be a video project that I'm going to do completely behind the scenes. And I have not told a single soul about this. Not even Mod Pumpkin knows. Not a single soul knows. This is just an idea I've had in the back of my mind. And I can't wait for it. And I'm going to have a lot of fun doing that. But that means the next month is going to be very interesting. Because I gotta get... It's not necessarily massive in scale. It's massive in the sense of learning new techniques and getting it done and making sure I have it edited and produced in the way I want it to be. It is still Minecraft, it is still building. It's just a new angle of what I typically do. But yeah. So that means the next month's going to be very interesting. We may get another member in the SMP. We had the new member last time for the holiday special, Dead Dog. We might actually get 2 members, depending on how that goes. Because there's somebody Dead Dog wants asked to join. And then Lilac messaged me. I need to check. Lilac messaged me, so I gotta keep an eye on our little forums to see if people want to join. Little eye on it. Is there new? Not yet. Okay. Figured I might as well check while it's in the Hi, hello, Plush. The question of the day is, what is your favorite moment of the past year? And I'm talking about mine as well, the various projects I've done, and right now it's Colony Craft, working on that intro. But it's an old project of mine that I've done. I'm on the fourth version of this mod pack, and I believe this is my third attempt of publishing it at all. Because I've done this as I don't think I have anything publicly of me talking about this. Okay, we're gonna rant about this for a little while. Dating my new boyfriend or pumpkin gay third and telling me happy birthday. That's hilarious. That's okay. I love that the second one is also a favorite moment of the year. That's great. Colony Craft is a mod pack I started by myself, I believe. I don't think I even started it as a he was not happy. uh I think I just started it by myself and just nicknamed it Colony Craft. I made a mod pack. I found out about the mod Mine Colonies and I made a mod pack around it. And I can still think back to yes, I am. I can still think back to the first worlds I had playing that mod pack. I could probably draw a picture of it. I have a weirdly picture perfect memory, and I do not understand how it works. I think I think the best rule for my memory is short term. There's like a coin flip chance of me remembering it, but the moment it's like locked in for more than a day, it's in there. It's in the bank. It's in the vault. I just have to grab it. You just have to give me like the keyword to find it, and I'll find it. It's like searching through a library or searching through a library computer. You'll find it. You just need the right keyword. That is essentially my memory, actually. It's just a library computer. That's actually a really accurate way to describe it. Okay. Anyway, I am now on the fourth version of the mod pack. I'm pretty sure the world for Colony Craft is even called Colony Craft 4.2.2, I think is what we're on now. It's the fourth version of this mod pack. The fourth time I've made a completely new mod pack and readjusted everything. And then I have done so much tweaks since that I seriously consider this to no longer not be. It's no longer just, oh, this is the fourth mod pack. This is like the second version of this fourth mod pack. And this is my second instance or so on of playing it. But I am seriously enjoying that. But the next month. Hold on. Speaking of bite, let me see. That you reminded me because I was thinking about this. I'm tempted, not necessarily as a stream, but planning an event in the Discord because I know my streaming OBS does not like me using Medibang Paint. I don't know why. It just doesn't. So I'm thinking sometime we'll do just a Discord stage and just doodle some emotes. I want to check out, because you reminded me, I wanted to look into extensions, because there's supposedly one for emotes. And you can upload your own emotes. I want to add my own. My emotes display your channel emotes and badges with emotes, emote showcase. Because I can't upload my own emotes until affiliate, and that's not necessarily a goal of mine, but I would love for you guys to have emotes. Emote meter, no, that's not what I want. And that's just smiley face emotes. It's not what I want. Not affiliate emote panel. Emote party, emote showcase. Play your channel emotes. I know I saw something. There's one called Backseat Me, and the bio of it is backseat your favorite streamer to help them or mess with them. What the hell? Emotify your stream with cool emotes for your viewers. Okay, no. So you absolutely have to be affiliate. Okay. I swore there was something else, but I'll have to look into it. I'll have to remember that. Oh well. But the next month is going to absolutely be busy. The next few days, because I absolutely want to get this done by the end of the year. There's completely unrelated to Mutation CIP. The most you're ever going to hear or see about this is me talking about this on streams. If you find it, you find it. Good luck. It's under completely different persona. There is a project I've been working on for over a year now, and I promised that I would have it posted by the end of the year. I have most of it done. It's just the last bits that I need to actually do and then edit in order to get it up. But it's almost there, so that's going to be the next, literally after this, and then the entirety of Monday and Tuesday is going to be me working on that until it's done. That's it. After it's done, and if I absolutely have to get it posted. I don't care how much time I put into it. I'm close to finishing it, but I don't care how much time I have to put into it. I will get this posted, even if it's by the 31st, 11:59 on the 31st. I will do it. Anyway, immediately after that, because I've been procrastinating properly getting into Colony Craft, the first episode, I finished everything for the intro, and that's fully edited. And so now all I have to do is actually start the colony. But the problem that's making me just procrastinate it is once I get started on the colony, I'm going to essentially create a dialogue between me making the colony, because it can be very, very boring, and I've struggled with maintaining that in the past. And I'm going to make it as a dialogue of building the colony, because you can't build the colony yourself. You have to gather the materials, and it's a city manager. You have to hand them off to your builder. So while the builder is building everything, I'm going to be building my own base. So to create a little more interest in the boring moments. And then I'll probably have fun with it from there. But that's a lot to take on at once. So procrastination it is right now. But immediately, once I get that first thing I mentioned done, I'm working on that, starting on that. So in the next month, it's going to be the first episode of Colony Craft will be out. I have no idea when I'll work on the next one, because the very first, literally the first day of the year, I'm going to be meeting with Passion SMP people, possibly another person, possibly two more. Lilac and Dead Dog. Lilac Gameplays and Dead Dog. We're going to go end busting, so that's going to be an episode. And I want to work more on Passion SMP, but that might take a bit of a back burner because I have a project that I want to post for the anniversary for January 26th. I will have been doing this content streaming for 3 years, which is my favorite number. And I have an idea that I've kept on the back burner that is time intensive in the sense of learning and figuring out and editing. It's intensive in the filmmaking process and editing of it, and making sure I get this in the way that I want it to be. If it's not perfect, that's fine, but as long as I get across my intent the correct way, that's what I'm going for. I think that's all I got. So it's going to be Colony Craft, and then I'm still going to continue this streaming every Sunday. I'll do supercuts that are pretty low effort, but there is a supercut. Supercuts will be going up on the second channel. There is already a supercut of the first episode, and whenever we finish this questline, I'm probably going to try and put all the supercuts together and just title it like, oh, supercut the movie, whatever. Or a movie version of all of this. Of companions from level 1. Or I might do a best moments of, or both. Both sounds good. Both is good. That's actually another thing I need to do in this coming year. After somewhere in between, definitely within the first month, I want to gather some of my videos, find the favorite moments, find the moments I like the most out of them, and then do a best of 2024 and post that as well. I need to actually list all this. I need to do that after the stream. But yeah, it's gonna be a lot for the first little bit. I'm gonna be on the grind, but it's fine. I got my tea. I got my tea and I got good food. Oh, y'all want to see the food I made today? Hold on, because I'm actually very happy with this. I've been eating, for lack of better words, bougie. Not necessarily bougie, but just higher end. Because I specifically eat Asian food. I need a high fiber diet, otherwise I feel like shit. And I realize I don't quite get my veggies the way I want to. So I've been focusing on that for a little bit. And part of that was I wanted to try some veggies I don't necessarily eat, or something I haven't liked in the past. The first thing I did was cabbage. I had a cabbage soup, which I just first used cabbage for. It was a Napa cabbage soup. It's Chinese soup, if I remember correctly. But you can just sub in the Napa cabbage for regular cabbage, which is what I did. And then I started using the cabbage, and I also got leeks, which I didn't know if I would like or not, but I do. It's not too far off from green onions, so loved it. And started doing those in the stir fry. And I also got bok choy, because I got the opportunity to going to a local Asian store, because one of my brothers was going there, so I'm like, okay, while we're there, I'm gonna grab this, try this, and I loved it, because it's a very similar thing to cabbage, and as long as cabbage is cooked, I'm fine. If it's not cooked, I hate it. But it's cooked, I'm fine. And so today, because I was trying to find ways to use up my bok choy, and I ended up going to the store again recently. Today, why? 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 I just want to show my soup. This is a baby bok choy soup with carrots and a bunch of other stuff. I have like onion, carrot, leek, and the baby bok choy, and it's in the oil you're seeing on top is canola oil from the onion and carrots cooking, and then the normal recipe has veggie broth and coconut milk. I did not get veggie broth. I just used leftover chicken broth, and I did not feel like buying coconut milk, so I just used the oat milk. But it ended up delicious. However, I put too much green curry paste, and so it was absolutely delicious. Loved it. But it just burned my throat every single sip, and I'm like, I love it so much, but it's burning my throat. I think I went through my water bottle like once or twice, and that's saying a lot. I have a 32-ounce water bottle. Granted, the entire thing's... I don't know if you can hear me shaking that. The entire thing's full of ice at all times, but I refilled this once or twice eating that. So when I reheat that, I'm gonna need to add some more chicken broth or something. Anyway, Skyrim. I've been talking for a hot minute. But it's fine, because I seriously enjoy these streams. I think I've found streaming is a way for me to do casual content. I love doing content. This is what I love doing. It is a passion of mine at this point. And I seriously do enjoy doing this, regardless of the lack of monetization. Although I am trying to find ways that I can monetize it in some way, but nonetheless, I seriously enjoy it. But it is heavy. I put heavy standards on myself, so being able to sit here and stream and talk out of my ass for a couple hours is great. That being said, I do have limited time today because I need to work on other projects, so we're only going to be going until 9 p.m. So we have an hour and a half of good old Skyrim. I can't remember what comes next in the quest line. We just became properly a part of the companions. So I think we might... I want to get the werewolf perks. Oh, we need to buy a house. I want a house. We're gonna do a bunch of work. I think today we're literally just gonna get work done. But we're gonna get rid of Mew. Goodbye, Mew. And then I'm gonna open up the game. But I think we're literally just gonna do miscellaneous quests. Because I need enough money. I need the money to buy Tundra Homestead. Skyrim, can you load? Skyrim! Skyrim. Oh. 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 There we go. Epic. Also, something that's fantastic about this stream that I have not had prior. Part of my ask list for the holidays, because I have issues with headphones and earbuds both, because I wear glasses, and I have really sensitive ears for some fucking reason. I cannot wear earbuds no matter how small I get them. It does not work. They do not work for me. They just irritate my ears immediately. Even I have little earplugs that help dampen noise because I have sensitive hearing for some fucking reason. I can't even wear those for more than a half hour, as much as they help me. However, because of all this, I learned of bone conductor / air headphones. They just sit a little bit outside of your ear. I got a pair for Christmas, and I am absolutely in love with these. I went out for the majority of Saturday. I went out for lunch with a friend. Thankfully, the place, I got a gift card for a place. $12.40 on a Saturday, the last Saturday of the year. We had one other table in our section when we got there, and only 2 others when we left. Or 3 others when we left. It was great. And I went on public transport too. I have issues with unexpected sounds and just loud sounds in general because it's exhausting. And having these was absolutely fantastic, and I'm wearing them right now. Going to this, because the problem is, I like being able to blast my music, but I need to be able to hear things. I hear better behind me than I hear in front of me. I hear far better behind me than in front of me. I should actually talk about this once we're in the game. Is this the correct save? Gosh, there we go. Make sure I'm on the correct save. Let me actually... I'll rant about this more. I'll rant about this more in a moment. Let's actually get into the save, and then I can get my little clip for my supercut. And then I can go back to ranting. Now something adorable. I was sitting with Dusty before stream because he's being adorable and cuddled up on my bed. And I just like slowly sat down next to him, and he just... Yeah, you know what? Alright. Shut up!
See what you're brewing up. You can smell the...
Ugh. I need to also change my sounds, because editing around quiet voices is not helpful. I need to adjust my sounds. Oh, I know. I know. Hold on. So I have a computer extension called Ear... No, it is that. Okay. I have a computer extension called Ear Trumpet, and I thought I had Skyrim, like the actual application sound down, but no, I don't. Apparently I just had the master volume down a little bit too much. Okay, we'll set it all to that. Oh, it's just them asking for work. Okay.
You still need to prove yourself, Whelp.
Yeah, I do. Come on, give me work. I need work. I need money. That's all we're doing today. I just need money.
A wealthy family has misplaced one of their heirlooms. I tell you, this province is losing its grip. The bandits become more brazen every day.
I'll get it.
Move quickly so we can have this over and done with.
I've heard some rumors about you and Skjor.
All right.
And if you want to keep having ears, you'll pretend you didn't.
Boop, boop, boop. Okay, back to my rant. I absolutely love these headphones, earbuds, whatever you want to call them. I'm absolutely in love with them. Because the problem is, I hear better behind me than I do in front of me. This is going to take forever to load, because I have not played on the save in a hot second. For some reason, I hear better behind me than in front of me. And I heavily rely on that. And I need to be able to hear what's going on around me, otherwise it's just gonna freak me out. It's no good for me, especially if I'm by myself. It's no good for anybody. Shh, dude.
That's something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only.
The Jarl of Fall Creek can fuck
Let's
off.
see here. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
Oh, is it the fucking it's the zombies. It's so the zombies. Yeah, it's the zombies. I don't care. Where are we going? Retrieve the Iron Dagger. Oh my. From White River Watch.
I'm in the market for a new rocket.
Okay. Oh wait, do I have yet? I need to get armor too. I think that's the first thing we need to do is upgrade to steel armor. Hello.
I don't. That I do. I've got to, if I hope to be as good as Yorland Greymane someday.
Can you shut up?
I just
And
finished my best
and you
piece of
shut?
work.
And you shut?
Have you met
Thank
my
you.
father?
That's
It's a
not.
sword.
Why is that
Made for
option
the
grayed out? I just want to
Ball
ask
Groove
what's
the
for
Great. It's
sale.
a surprise. I don't even know if he'll accept it, but I help my father in more ways than people realize.
There we go. That's what I
Blades,
want.
helmets, pretty much anything
I
to suit my
just
needs.
want steel. I need a steel greatsword. That's 23. Is that better than the silver? It's the same. I'm not gonna buy a silver one. Or a steel one if I have a silver one that's the same. You only have leather scouts. Girl. Why? Fine, give me the damn steel. Let's start with 10. It's gonna take most of my money, but it's fine. You know what? Actually, let's go with the iron ore. Ore. And then I'll get like 2 pieces of leather, because that's gonna be far superior to anything else.
Don't forget to check inside the
I'm
shop
pretty.
if you
Did
need
we?
it.
I'm pretty sure I put something into smithing, right? If I didn't, that's gonna be really upsetting. Excuse me. Okay, yes, I do have steel. Okay. Epic. But again, I love these headphones. I say it very monotone, but I cannot emphasize how much I'm absolutely in love with it. Find Amber. Hello! That is worth a lot of money. Hey, do you want refined? I don't.
That I do. I've got to, if I hope to be as good as Yorland Greymane someday. In fact, I just finished my best
and you
piece
shut.
of work. Yes? Out with it. Take a look.
Okay. Would you take? I have an embalming tool. All right, I have an embalming tool. Take. That was a third of what it could have been. Okay, that's sad. Anyway. I want the plate armor because it looks cool. Steel soldier armor. Pardon. Shoulder boots,
Bad.
gauntlets.
When I first started smithing.
I actually gonna keep the steel helmet I already have. Because I actually like being able to see my character's face. I have a lot of things to sell. We actually need to go do that.
Got some good pieces out. It's a sword.
Why is that the text that's
I
grayed
made it
out?
for the Jarl. Balgroof the Greater. It's a surprise. I don't even know if he'll accept it, but I don't claim to. Take a look.
Okay, there we go. I shouldn't have sold that piece of silver, that silver ingot. Yeah, I'm gonna have to buy it back so much. I don't need those. And we can get rid of that, that, and that. And I sold the other great swords. That's another level up. Hello. And, okay, yeah. I only have one, so we're gonna upgrade the steel armor. And can I
Remember,
buy...
Father?
That's not...
That I do. I've got to. If I
I'm
hope
talking to the guy inside instead. Fuck you. I
help my
don't
father.
want...
Welcome to
Shut,
War Games.
lady.
The finest weapons and armor.
I just need steel, man. There we go.
Good doing business with you.
Goodness gracious. Stars. Okay.
Out with it.
But having these headphones has definitely improved things. It's definitely going to make it a lot easier for me going out, especially by myself. Because I need to actually hear what's going on around me, because that's kind of important to my safety. I can't upgrade the silver store. Okay. Lady.
You think all the counsel my father provides.
Where's
the
your
Jarls
sale
is
option?
alone? Huh. Let's just say I advise the advisor and leave it at that. Out with it.
You can't. Okay.
Don't forget to check inside the shop if you need anything.
Well, I'm definitely going to check inside the shop because you can't
Yes.
give me anything.
You look like looking to protect yourself or deal some damage.
Weapons, you better have a steel great sword. Yes, you do. Take the stupid silver one. A stupid silver ingot that I bought back. I have apparently a singular lockpick. Do you sell lockpick? You don't seem to have any, unfortunately. I need just one leather strip. And one more steel ingot. That took a hefty amount of my gold, unfortunately.
Got some
It
good
took a
pieces out here.
lot more than I wanted
More
it to.
inside.
But it's definitely going to change my damage output for the better. And let me make sure I have all this appropriately. Yep. At
I
least
don't
we have
claim
more
to be the
stuff to
best
sell still.
blacksmith in Whiterun. Yorland Greymane's got
I still have a fair bit to sell, so we gotta get at the general goods store for that.
You know what's wrong with Scott?
Oh, I do have that level up I need to claim too.
Everything.
What do you got for
Oh,
sale?
bit
Come
of
on.
that.
I do need healing. That's really all I need. Don't need a hood. Don't need that. You know, I'll get rid of the amulet and Mara just because it's worth that much money. I think it's far more important that I get rid of it than keep. Oh, I forgot. I have so many gems. And a plate, apparently. Will that put my money back up quite a bit? Good to know. Okay.
Do come back.
I will. Thank you. Oop. Hit the mic. I apologize.
Pardon me. Take a look.
What you got for sale? I just need health potions, lady, before I go off on this gamble. I need to start making my own. That's gonna be far better for myself than anything else. Although I'm just gonna sell the vampire dust. Didn't I have bear claws? I got bear claws.
Back anytime if you need a remedy.
Alright. And do they want me to go where I think they want me to go? Shut. Oh, oh, okay. They want me to go to the cave. Alright. I need to claim the level up. Shut, Nazim. Anyway. Lots of fun stuff. But I am genuinely enjoying this. I keep going back to the headphones, because that's all I'm really thinking about at the moment.
Skjor says that I have the strength of
I wonder, can I get you to follow me?
Smart. Those people get my
No.
fist. What kind of weapon do you like?
I like the small.
I'm gonna be real. I talked out of my ass for the first 20 minutes of this. I don't got a lot. I am working off of less than a baseline. Ooh. I do got a nice big cup of tea though. That is very good. I believe I said I was just gonna go with a tank build, so we're just gonna push health. If I'm going tank, let's put in two. Oh, we already did heavy armor. Never mind. Two-handed, one-handed archery. Can I put anything more into archery? Not yet. It would probably be best we put into sneak out of all this, huh? Because that's gonna make sneak archer. While it is terrible, yes, it is temporary until I get to become a werewolf, and then we're gonna focus werewolf build from then on. I think we might, after we get a werewolf, I think we might need to head out to Solstheim. I wanted to sleep more, that's right. Because it's just gonna be cold if I go out at night, and then I have an extra thing to worry about than if I went during the day. Already forgot about that. Hey, boop. And then hold. And that should pass it by a little faster.
I crawled west out of the wasteland, so show some respect.
Your insecurities are showing. Okay. Food. This is the only actual food I have. I need to go buy some. We need to hit the bar. I'm pretty sure I already stole everything from the companions, so. That's not so good. Why is everybody coming out of that door? Okay.
Mister, could you spare a coin?
Sorry, Lucia.
Just one gold, please?
Fine.
Oh, thank you. Divines, bless your kind heart.
I love how she even followed me into the store. Hey, Holda.
Let's sate that appetite.
I need food. Also, I realized, last stream I was talking a bunch about... That's actually not... The catfish and pogfish aren't worth as much, but the other one was. Definitely. I don't have salt. You have salt. I don't. You know, I'm willing to take a singular venison and the only salt pile you have.
Need anything else?
Push comes to shove, that's an emergency backup food.
If it's work you're looking for, Hulda's the one to talk to.
Alright, I can make cabbage.
Yes, Mom.
And then she's gonna run back over to me. Good soup. Ooh, while I was shopping at my local... Shut up. While I was shopping at my local Asian store, I had to go around to get back to the checkout because it was just packed full of people. We went on like a Saturday night, unfortunately. It was packed full of people, so I had to go around basically an entire store and go through silverware, basically. Silverware and pottery, dishware. And I forgot that something I've been wanting to get is a soup spoon. It's like half the time if we need a soup spoon, I just end up using one of the serving spoons, which doesn't quite work as well. So I wanted to get a soup spoon. I'm like, hey, how much do they have them and how much are they? And they were like $2.50 each. So I got soup spoons now. And I ate my delectable soup with my soup spoon. And it was very good. And I have another soup waiting for me. I have 2 soups chilling in the fridge right now. I've just been eating a bunch of soup. It just sounds good right now. I don't know. I just want soup. It sounds so good. Soup and tea, black tea. Right now I have Thai tea in the pitcher. I keep a glass pitcher. It's just like a giant mason jar, and it has a mesh attachment, a little mesh basket, and a pitcher top. So it's a little pop top like you'd see on some water bottles, but just sized up for the top of a mason jar. And so you can use this for various things. I think it's like $20 on Amazon or something. You could probably find it other places. $20-$30, it'll come with the glass jar. If it breaks, you can just... What? Oh. If it breaks, you can just replace it with a normal jar. Ooh, there we go. I like being powerful. Oh, let's actually check. Sometimes they have, like, good stuff. Yep. Anyway. I got it at first to make coffee, so I'd have a big old batch of cold brew. You can use it for infused waters. Right now, I currently use it for tea. The cold steep tea, so I always have some form of iced tea ready to go. Currently, it has Thai tea, but the next thing I want to do is I have a bunch of raspberry tea, raspberry hibiscus, that I've been trying to use for the past year and have not touched at all. And then my brother comes into my room with a bunch of stuff he got. And is like, hey, you drink this, right? And hands me the exact brand that I've been struggling, the exact brand and type of tea that I've been struggling, the exact brand of raspberry tea that I've been struggling to get through. So now I have an extra box of it. But what I do know is it goes very well with black tea. So what I want to do... I don't have any arrows. What I want to do is quickly discover this location, piss off everybody here, and then run back for arrows. Completely forgetting everything that just occurred. I want to next make a mix of black and raspberry tea, and then have a little container off to the side with some whipped honey, and throw in some crystallized honey for a nice little crunch. There's something nummy. That sounds good. Why whipped honey? I don't know. I just like decorating my drinks. I do just enjoy a plain old... You're walking through the river, sir. Why are you doing that? Okay. Stars. Anyway. I do enjoy just a nice plain... Why am I walking this? I don't need to walk it. No, I don't want to go to Sables. I want to go to Whiterun. I do enjoy just a plain old sweet hot tea. Sweet black hot tea. But if I'm doing iced tea, it is so good with sea salt foam. I know I talked about this a lot last time, but it's so good with sea salt foam. How much would stealing get me? Because I can make steel arrows, right? Let's put 5 into that, which should give us a fair amount. And then back up, let's grab all the iron ore.
Don't forget to check inside the shop if you need.
And there should be an axe somewhere around, right? I did run through Riverwood, but I don't necessarily want to teleport to Riverwood and back, because I feel like that'd be a waste.
Have you met my father?
Would you happen to sell a woodcutter's axe? No.
Until next time.
Did I get a woodcutter's axe off of you?
At the general goods.
You have firewood, but not a woodcutter's axe. I know I was, but you don't have what I want. Alright. We'll fast travel here, I'll grab the wood axe, then we'll fast travel back, sleep, and I'll get my arrows. I'm gonna spend the entire stream, what little I have of it, literally just on this one quest, because I'm forgetting everything I'm supposed to do, and that I need. And there's an axe, like, right around, don't even start.
Talking to Sven? Maybe not.
Give me this. That's all I want. Goodbye. Goodbye. Alright. What time is it? It's 4. Yeah, it's probably better than not. This is gonna take me a little bit. It's definitely better than not that I make these arrows and then we sleep. It's gonna waste a bit of food, but I've already wasted a bit. So it's whatever. But, teas. I like a plain hot black tea as much as anybody else. I raved about this last time. I adore a sweet iced black tea with some sea salt foam. Absolutely delicious. Another one is coffee with egg pudding. Is absolutely delectable. 100% love it. I'm gonna need to do that once more. And the other thing is just high tea with condensed milk. I feel like it's gotta have condensed milk, otherwise it doesn't have the right taste. At least I don't feel like it does. Even then, I can't quite get the same taste as getting it from an actual Vietnamese or Thai place. They just make it different. I don't know. It's never the same. Even if I get it from a boba shop, it's never the same. I don't know what the hell they do. I would love to know, but I don't know. Oh, that's gonna take forever. We're just gonna auto walk. Just gonna let it auto walk. Yeah, and this is gonna drain me too. This is gonna take forever. Just ever so slowly. Saunter my way to the forge. I've actually never, like, stopped. Whiterun, you go through so much, you never really stop to look at it. I'm adoring the little arches. That's so cute, actually, like, paying attention to that detail. That's adorable. I love it. Hey, lady, my turn with the forge. Thank you.
More inside.
So this should actually make us about 100 arrows of each type.
I don't claim to be the best. Yorland Greymane's got
Which
that
should work out pretty well. Yeah, let's equip steel arrows first. Alright. And I haven't discovered Dragon's Reach, which is going to be the easiest for us. I said this last time, I'll say it again. I just want a mod that adds fast travel locations for Yorvaskr and other important locations.
I know your family's honor is important to you.
There's so much dialogue going on. I need their voices loud. I wish you could have different volumes for background voices and, like, quest voices. Because I don't want to have to change the voices every time I'm talking to somebody. I am thinking about going to Yorvaskr and not going to Dragon's Reach. I need to go actually discover Dragon's Reach. That is not what I'm doing here. I'm acting like I've just teleported to Dragon's Reach to get to Yorvaskr rather than just discovering. There we go. Now that we've done all that, yes. Also, I realized last time I was talking about, like, oh, there's not really any easy houses to get. So we're gonna go all the way out to Morfall for Mirwatch, because that's balanced difficulty, and I forgot. There's a house. I don't know why I have runoff caves discovered. There's a house, like, right here. That came with Creation Club. And it's literally Yorvaskr, but it's a player house. And the only thing that's preventing you from getting in is a warrior who you have to fight. And usually, it'll send you a letter about, like, level 10 or so. They'll send you a letter at about level 10. Shut up. They'll send you a letter, and then you can go over there, right? Because now you know about it. But you can just go to her at level 1 if you know how to beat her up correctly. And just, as long as you don't die, you can get, or you could just sneak, you could just pickpocket the key off of her. I don't actually need to talk to you. Why am I doing this? I'm on complete autopilot. I'm doing none of what I need to do. Not a single thing of what I need.
Says that I have the strength of Ysgramor, and my brother has his smarts.
Anyway.
I never thought they would actually let me
Oh my
join the
goodness.
companions. But now it looks like they're letting anyone in.
Interesting. Yep. Old. Oop. Slightly less time than it would be to slowly watch it happen.
I'm still trying to figure out why.
Shut all of your mouths.
Hey there. I killed a bear yesterday. Did you kill anything?
Wolf.
Circle vouches for you. and
Let me
sworn to
out.
respect your judgment. But that doesn't mean I like it.
It's too many people. That beef? What's a pie? I'm taking that pie. Okay, finally an hour into stream. Well, a little less than, because... Oh, yeah. Need to eat. A little less than, because I was late and then I talked my ass off for a while. Is that enough? Yes. I'm well fed. Fantastic. Can I spawn? Or is it not going to load in? No. Well. I know there's a guy up there. And I know there's a guy right there.
Never should have come here.
Oh, well. Oh, you're just a bandit. I mean, this is Master, but also, you're a bandit and I have steel gear. So, yeah, that's gonna happen. Oh. I think I will, actually. I'm impressed. You've lived this long. Oh, I love comedic timing. Ooh, amethyst. It never ceases to amaze me. Potato. Black flower. Salt Ooh, salt piles. Hell yeah. Hey, give me those salmon. Oh, wait, do y'all have any venison? Oh, you have cabbage. Apples! Yes. I used to think the apples were so useless before I discovered the apple turnovers. Granted, you can only make it with the anniversary edition, or heartswarming, that is. You can only make it with heartswarming, but it's so nummy. So good. Minor healing, brawlers, hide bracers, don't care. We're not actually going to craft more because I want to buy venison off of the barkeep first, off of Hulda. I'm to shoot a blind guy in the back if I didn't screw over that delivery. Headshot. Oh, right through the toupee. Oh, no, that's right in the mouth. Oh my goodness. How did I hit that? That was a joke, but oh my goodness. I need to give myself a little more credit. Who needs... I don't need juniper berries. I'm clicking too many buttons that I don't need to be. Red apples. Yes, yes, yes. Flower. Now, can I get some green apples? That would be fantastic. Both are delicious, though. 100%. You know what? We're going to take fur armors. Never mind. I'm carrying too much. Dude! Get over here. Get. Get. Oh, you have a singular coin on you. Oh, because I took the woodcutter's axe, so I have an extra 10 from that, huh? And then I took all the food, so yeah, I can't, like, take anything else. Ooh. And I make it... Nope. Oh yes, I can. How did I get the second one that time?
I cannot best you.
Oh? Yeah, you can't. You missed. Completely still, and you missed me again. Goodbye. Ooh, lockpick. That. I want to steal so much more from this place, but... Well, take the gold. Gold. I want to steal so much more from this place, but I don't have the... I don't have the space for that. I don't have the inventory. And then I stole everybody from over here. Chest gold. There's another amulet of Mara. Okay. I have 177 iron arrows. I really don't want to put these in here. Those in there. I can't drop that because it's a quest item. Those are keys. Oh, firewood is so heavy. Okay, get rid of that. Thank you, KofiBot. Take the torch. For little emergencies. I did not consider how heavy firewood would be. That is ridiculous. Oh, it's this spot. Okay. This one I find notoriously annoying. Get mauled. And then I'm just gonna pick you off one by one. Yeah. As long as the dog doesn't get me, we're good. Yeah. Go at all. Okay, all you up there. To go up there. Woo! Everyone bleeds, dumbass. But apparently, not everyone can aim. Oop. Try again. Oh. One, you missed. Two, you died. Ooh, beef, thank you. Appreciate that. I'm taking your arrows. I mean, they're free arrows. They're horrible, but they are free. So I'm taking them. Oh, you have a pickaxe, but I don't think I need that at the moment. And you are amethyst. Like, why do you have a shovel? Y'all have some weird equipment. Y'all got some weird inventories. Y'all have the inventory of a Minecraft player. What the hell? Come on. Apples? I think that's like the last thing I can pick up though, unfortunately. I think that's about everybody that's in here. I think there's a little bit up there, but otherwise I think that's everyone inside of here. And double check. Okay, yeah. I'd rather check. Thankfully we got through this pretty quick. I think we could very well get Tundra Homestead tonight. Boop.
Is someone there?
Oh yes, of course someone's there. I didn't move that one. That's sad. Oh, I moved into that one. That's sad. I didn't hit tab quick enough. I don't have my healing potions favorited. Oh, dude got me like right in the heart twice. This time, I'll be smart. Although theoretically, if this guy proves too difficult, I could simply take the dagger and run from the chest. Oh, I moved back into it. That's Magica. Nope. You really gonna hide behind the brush, dude? Your body's gonna go down the mountain. You're gonna be difficult to loot. Come on. That's the legacy you want to leave? Are you good, buddy? I think he's a little bit stuck down there. So while he's down there, I'm just gonna... And I have enough room for that. Yeah, sure you will, buddy. And while you do, I'm just gonna loot all of your stuff, yeah? I don't know where that hammer went. I just bonked it and it went to the ether. And I'm... Oh, No, I didn't bonk it. I accidentally picked it up. That's what it was. Okay. Get that out of my inventory. Hey, buddy, where did you go? There you are. Huh, Jinx! I win. Goodbye, dude. There he goes. How far is he gonna go down? Oh, he's gonna... Aww. Hunting bow, journal. I don't care about your stupid little dialogue. I just need the money. That's all I really need here. I just need the monies. I am a homeless little boy. I'm just at Airbnb right now. That's what this is. Although I will always appreciate the way this is built. I think it's so cool. It looks so cool.
You still need to prove yourself, whelp.
Where are you? Oh, there you are. Hey, I finished the thing.
And it looks undamaged. They'll be pleased, I'm sure. And we're pleased with their money.
Is it only 100? It's only 100. Of course it is. At least I got a few things I could sell.
My leave, then.
I can't even pick up apples. I have, like, 0 inventory. I'm like, apples! No. Can't grab them. But at least we can sell some things. Honestly, I think I need to stop picking up arrows and start picking up valuables instead. Because arrows, while very useful, not valuable. Iron arrows sell for nada.
Some may call this junk. Me, I call them treasure.
Because yeah, 0. I have 200 iron arrows. I think I'm gonna get rid of the woodcutter's axe because that's a fair amount of weight. And it's not helpful to me in the moment at all. I got a lot of salt piles, some amethyst, gold. The soul gems, while small, aren't worth a lot to me.
Do come back.
Oh, I will. And that takes care of a lot of our weight. At least enough that we're back down a little bit. I have a feeling it would be a lot more if we dropped all the arrows. But we are not.
Welcome. Let me know if you want any.
Hey, Olda. You still got that beef and venison?
Here somewhere. If it's work you need, I
need food, actually.
Let's sate that appetite,
Food. Food. Didn't you have beef? Raw beef, yes. And then that venison, thank you.
If it's work you're
Don't need anything else, actually.
Hulda's the one to talk
And then the rest of our salt can go into cabbage stew. I can make apple cabbage stew, too. 'Cause I have a lot of red apples, so that will use up a little more. Although I think it's the same amount of food. So I'm tempted, I'm almost tempted. I have salmon meat? Oh, right, because I picked it off of... Yeah, I did grab that. I am incorrect. Wholeheartedly. I want to say potatoes. Is this the same? I only have 1 salt pile to make this, but is this literally the same amount? 8 point stamina. 10, 8, 38. 15, 10, 38. Apple cabbage it is.
You want a drink?
No, I don't. I don't... Okay, this is like... I don't understand why someone would put apples in a soup. I get it for Skyrim, but I don't understand how that would be a good soup. I have had one soup with apples, and it was Granny Smith green apples. It was like a carrot soup. But because of the turmeric, it just tasted and smelled like a curry. Even though it absolutely wasn't a curry. Why do I have a marker in here? Oh no, it's pointing to the custom destination outside. I want to get rid of that. Remove. Remove. What does it want me to do? Alright. Hey, I need work.
You've returned. Skewer was looking for you before. Talk to him before doing anything else.
Oh wait, is it already werewolf time? Is it already werewolf time? Skewer's outside apparently. I thought I had a little bit more. Why is everyone right here?
I'm still trying to figure out why Skewer let you in.
You wanted to see me?
I have something a little different planned this time. But it's not for everyone to hear.
Yes, it is werewolf
Meet me
time.
in the Underforge tonight. We will speak.
What if I don't want to yet? I need money. I need a house.
Oh, hey there.
Hell yeah.
I've heard you may actually.
And you're not gonna let me.
Did you take a look at it?
Okay. I'm gonna uncheck the silver hand. I don't want to do the normal. So my go-to when it comes to the dungeons around here is this iron one up here. I want to do something else. I want to do a different dungeon. Isn't it? I know there's like a vampire one. There's a vampire one a little bit far out, but not... It's kind of far out. What time is it? It's 6:12 in game. That is not good. We're gonna go sleep, actually. I shouldn't have... I'm just gonna... Where's the load? Load? Quick. Nope. Auto. Because I do not need to leave. I just want money.
Can't you just tell me? Come to me with questions. I know our history almost.
Shut up, all of you. Please. Just immediately overstimulated. Everyone is talking. It is not fun. I'm almost out of tea.
They would actually let me join the companions. But now it looks like they're letting anyone in these days.
Does Skyrim specialize in backhanded insults? I feel like they do. They also specialize in saying the same thing over and over until you believe it.
Oh, hey there. I killed a bear yesterday. Did you kill anything?
Killed your mom. I am tired. I don't want to deal with that overstimulation. I love Jorvasker. There are too many people there. We're just gonna walk out into the world. And I want to earn this oven. I want an oven for my apple turnovers. That's the only way you can make them. I have hearts warming. I just want my apple turnovers, but I want to earn that oven. And I need fucking 5,000 for Tundra Homestead. So this is... Oh, wait. I have a torch. I can show the funniest glitch I've ever found. I don't understand why this works. So let's set torch to... Because I don't have anything else yet. We're gonna crouch. Turn on torch. And it I don't know why. I don't know why if you turn on the torch, it just sprints. But it does, and it still counts for XP. This is the fastest way I know how to travel in this game. I don't know if it's as fast as a horse, but even a horse stops sprinting at some point. This takes 0 stamina. All you need is a torch. And just hotkey equip it.
I'm on my way to Windhelm to join up with
Shut up, farmer.
Ulfric has the right of it.
How far away can I hear people? I don't want to join the Stormcloaks. Oh, this might be... Actually, this might be a good place to tackle. It may be too many people. I don't know how good the loot would be this early in game. We could always try the back entrance and see how well the first couple people go for us. I need food. Num num. Of course that wasn't enough. Num. Or to grow more. Mud crabs. Wait, mud crabs. Julie, say the line. Do the thing. Come on. Where are... They should be here, right? No mud crabs. That's sad. You're just gonna Boop, boop. I love traveling like this. It's fantastic. This is how I get across the map. No other way. It's so good. Something I want to do after the companions are done, because I think this would be interesting, and I don't think I've seen a single person do this in the Skyrim community. After I'm done with this major quest line, I haven't gone far into it. I want to do Civil War, and then I want to do the main game, because I've never done the main game. Actually, no. Because I care about this a lot more, and I think it'd be more interesting, even though I've never finished the main quest line. I just want to go region lock, but only doing every single side quest in that region. I just want to do... That sounds so fun. I don't know why. Come on, that's supposed...
What was that?
There we go. Why are you going that way? Genuinely, the next thing I want to do, though. Markarth region lock, and every single quest, like side quest, in that region. And it would be interesting if we could do this as a series and see which region has the best side quests. I think that'd be really interesting. I don't think I'd do survival for that, just because it'd make it really ridiculous for no reason. But I think that would certainly be interesting. Ah. Knee. Oh, did I actually get the knee? I didn't even hit you, bro. I hit your armor. The underside of your armor at that. I don't even know how I managed that one. Oh, y'all got a lot of meat. I'm taking that. It's not a lot of weight, and it's worth a decent, just enough coin to be worth it. Why do you have like 3 axes? That's a little funky, bro. Chest depth, 5 lockpicks. I don't think I'm gonna win. Nope. Come on. Come on. There we go. Thank you. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to go through the entirety of this fort, and then we'll slowly come back in trips and just sell everything we can. I honestly think that's the best way to do this. Nope. I have so many arrows, it's not a bother if I'm wasting them a little bit. Sleep. Oh, this is one of the main areas. Okay. Burnt corpse. We love to see it. Maybe. No. Here. Yeah. Was that steel soldier boots? I could have gotten these from here. Too much weight, though. I physically cannot pick those up without screwing myself over. What? Oh, there are swords here. Okay, we need to come back. What I need to do, actually, instead of multiple trips, I just need to overbear myself. I love how they run that way, even though it's the completely incorrect way.
No more. Over here.
Actually, I'm gonna get far more out of this if I just run. Oh, never mind. Apparently not. What you gonna do when they come for you? Oh, that's why. Well, you have horrible. Oh, you have horrible armor, but serious health, my guy. What did I level up? My will to live? Joke's on you. That's level 0. Oop. Let me just hide in this corner. I'm not gonna bother to fight that one this time. Lady, are you kidding me? I'm at least gonna make like an honest effort. Although I have a feeling I'm probably gonna die from this because that's a bandit thug. And that did not go well last time, and I'm not even... Why am I still sneaking? Yeah. Oh, and there's the guy with the staff.
Must have run off.
Must have run off. Yeah, I ran across the ground, right below your eyes. You couldn't even see me. Alright, this time what we gonna do? When they come for me, we just run. Not even the same room, just this little corner here. Just fine right here. No one's gonna say a thing.
Huh?
There's nothing there. It was all in your imagination.
Must be my imagination.
I love comedic timing. Comedic timing is fantastic. And now, where? There you are. Of course. Of course. And then you run! And hide. They both have staves? Staves? Whatever it is. They got magic.
Oh, I heard something.
They got magic. That's bad. I absolutely need to sneak archer these guys. I am not going to get through here otherwise. Y'all ready for this dungeon to take a half hour? Because I refuse to brute force it. I missed that one. Well, at least I'm getting my sneak up. And it's not just crouch walking into a wall. I'm putting effort into my horrible sneaking, at least.
Oh, sure, I heard something.
Yeah, you definitely heard something.
What was that?
It was your death. It's so close, but so far. Nope. How many times will this take before they learn? How many times do I have to run round to this corner before they learn their lesson? It's a trick question. They're NPCs. They're never gonna learn. They're 10-year-old Skyrim NPCs. Ooh, the health on that boy. It ain't no 6 times sneak attack, but I would hope it'd do something better. But it's better than my base damage, so. This is what we dealing with.
Must be my imagination.
Must be my imagination. Let's get the bandit out of the way. Ooh. Yeah, ASAP out of there. I think the only bed is in the other room, but I need to get rid of him first. I want to take my level up.
I guess I was just hearing things.
I don't think I have enough sneak to even put anything into a next skill tree. The next part of the skill tree, that is. I think I need 40 before I can upgrade anything. So I just need to continuously hit this mofo in the back. You gonna learn, dude? Nope. Goodbye. He's trying. He ain't doing much, but he's showing up. We can give him that much. It's literally just gonna be me and this guy until the end of stream. Just another arrow in the back for the next 20 minutes. I'm gonna have a section of this VOD called This Guy. And it's just me shooting this guy. This is gonna take so long. The next time I meet a bandit thug, the next section of a bandit thug is just gonna be called This Other Guy. You have so much health. I'm not even halfway. Gonna learn your lesson? Nope. Every time Yep. Yeah.
Is someone there?
No one's there. No one at all. Why is that phasing through the cuff? Ooh. You ready, buddy? Peekaboo. Ah. Bye. I always feel like somebody's watching me.
I know I heard something.
And I get no privacy.
Nothing here after all.
Can you come back out? Come on. Ooh, I don't think that hit him that time. Peekaboo. Hi, buddy. How you? How you doing? Goodbye.
Hello? Who's there?
Let's make this go by a little faster. That even hit. That's sad. You gonna come back?
I heard something.
Peekaboo. No? No peekaboo? Peekaboo. Hi, goodbye.
Sure I heard something.
I was sure you were gonna die. Boop. In the butt. Ah. Oh, he's learning his lesson a little bit. Oh, he's searching the area. Oh, that's great, dude. Oh, wrong way.
Is someone there?
You're going the wrong way, buddy. Try again.
I was
Better
sure
luck
I
next
heard
time.
something.
that was way too close for comfort. Just gonna do that. Actually, yeah, do that a little bit. Yep.
Should have known she was lying. Said she'd wait for me.
Just a little bit. In the bum.
What was that?
What was that? I felt something nip my bum. Goodbye, sir. This is great XP. This is horrible footage, but it is great XP. This guy is just gonna take every single arrow I got. I have a best compilation of just this guy.
What was that?
I'd even make that one. Are you kidding me? You know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna run all the way back here. Maybe I can start a new loop with this guy. Come on, this guy. I wanted him to run over here so I could hit him over here. Come on, buddy. Where are you? Where? Are you done playing our little game? What's going on here? Oh, bro just ain't even there. Come on. I hear you, but I don't see you. So where are you? Oh, you're just sitting right out there? Going right. Now checking left. Oh, I love how dumb the NPCs are. Come on. Come on. There we go. This guy. You're done. Finally. Move on from you. Ooh, right into bum. He gave me 2 arrows back from all of that. Staff of Sparks. I'm taking it and selling it. And that makes perfect 50 out of 50. Read. It's just the Aragonian account. I thought it was a skill book. I'll take gold, because that's all I can take. Little helmet. For him. Now, if I remember correctly, boy in here is just sleeping. So I think We do a little bit of this. Steal all their stuff. I'm caring too much of it because of a stupid lockpick. We're eating some slaughterfish. That's not enough, apparently. I don't want to waste a venison chop. It's a lockpick, bro. Well, sacks of flowers are worth a lot, actually. There we go. Good thing that doesn't necessarily make noise. Oh, you're just dead in here. Okay. I thought there was a guy in here, but no, it's just you. Alright. I need to seriously get someplace I can put my stuff, but for now, I'm just carrying everything. Nice. I don't need a light armor, but I'll take the point. And now time to kill the poor sap in the other room. And, I would rather not get on the groundskeeper's bad side, so we're just gonna leave her. The last time I messed with her, she sent hired thugs. Unrelated run, but... Isn't there somebody in that room?
Someone there?
Yeah, that's what I thought. I knew there was. Don't you dare. Don't. Oh, that'll do. Yeah, don't... Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Alright, that's like everybody around here. Can I steal your bed, please? Thank you. Just want to take a little cat nap. I'm a wee tired. Pink. And backstab. Hi, Agnes.
Just cook and clean and do whatever it is they ask of me.
Fair enough. Dance on fire, don't care. Potatoes! I can't take the potatoes, though. Do I have enough? Yeah, I have just enough that I can do the healing. We chill, Agnes. I don't fuck with you.
Track of all the people who have been in and out of this fort. They come, they go. I barely notice.
That is so fair. I mean, you got job security at the very least. No matter who is here, you as long as you ain't killed, you got a job. Not a lot of people could say that. I don't know why I suddenly went very casual at the end of there. Of course, that is too much. Okay, another sack of flour. Down the gullet. A bucket. Dear God. And now let's see how much I actually get out of this stupid thing. Because I ain't daring to go in the courtyard. No thank you. I think I only really got the staff from that, right? I don't think I took much else. Yeah, I think I really only took the staff. I think I took some health potions and the staff is all I can think of. I can go back for their weapons and armor, but...
Not everybody in here. Everything's... Some may
what I should have done is just slowly walked.
Treasures.
Walked back. 71? Bro. I need a backpack. That's why. I don't have a backpack. I forgot about that. Let's get rid of the wine. Oh yeah, I picked up a bunch of Nord mead. 28, of course. Hey buddy, you have a backpack? I need an adventurer's backpack. You don't have that. Yeah, a mage backpack.
Do come back.
We're just gonna do a little favor of mine.
What do you think?
I should do, right?
Trinkets, odds and ends.
Apparel,
sort of
yes.
thing.
Adventurer backpack. That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you, my guy. And that will certainly help. Because now, instead of 150, we have 225. And so now I can actually carry things. So we're just gonna teleport straight on back. And then I'm gonna steal some of the lightweight armor. After I take a big sip of tea. Or I wish there were more torches in the world. You only see them in like select bandit camps.
Could be anyone's.
I love how the bandits aren't even paying attention to me, but I can just hear them gossiping. Okay. There's like some place that had... We'll take the hide helmet. We'll take helmets and boots, mainly. I think it's going to be the way to go. It's going to be the way to go about this. Because they don't weigh as much. I think for armor is fine as well. I already got... Of course I'm peckish. I already got like everybody in here, so this is A-okay. Hunting bow, steel soldier boots. I will take those because that's good money for not a lot of weight. We'll see at the end if I have enough weight for the swords. I probably won't. But we can at least try. Bracers and shoes, that'll do. I don't want to take... shoes. I don't want to take the shield. Shields are not worth their weight at all. Iron armor, hell no. Helmet and boots, that's fine. And there's nobody up there but a corpse. Run over here. Oh, this lady. Hello. Armor and shoes, I'll take it. And that's... Oh, there's a guy at the bottom of the stairs. There's a guy all the way down here just chilling by his lonesome. Boop. Studded armor, bracers, and shoes. I'll take all that. I have enough for like 2 swords. Which I think will suit me just fine. My question is, which one's worth more? 23 or... Yeah, we're taking 25s. They're worth... They have, what, less weight anyway. And I don't have enough for another thing. I actually... Let's see if there's anything else that I could... I have the weight... Enough weight for 8 more? Something less than 8. 31. Hunting bow is 7. We'll take hunting bow. That's easy enough to sell. And then right back out this way. Because I am not dealing with that courtyard. Hell nah. Boop. Oh, but everything's... Oh... Everyone's gonna be asleep because it's night, so then we gotta go sleep. Hopefully at least I can get some amount of... I'm hoping for at least 500 out of that. We've already got 100 from the staff. I don't think it's... While the boots aren't much, I have a lot of them. And then also the swords. I feel like that's a guaranteed at least 200, right?
Be careful.
Shut. I just need my free bed and board. That's all I want. Shut up.
I guess that's okay. Just means I can show you the...
Go to like 9. A lot of them take a minute to open. Supposedly they open at like 8, 8:30, but... And of course I am hungry all over again. I don't even know if there are going to be any funny... I didn't know there's a few funny moments. But I honestly might just save parts of this, because this stream is seriously just gonna be cut for time. So I might just keep this one on the back burner and piece it with the next one we do, because it's just gonna be small moments. Like, I only have another 20 minutes.
I work with my mother.
We're not even 20 minutes, we're 15 actually.
Let me know if you see anything you like.
What you got for sale?
And a bit of that.
And boop. Swords, goodbye. Armors. I wasn't even paying attention to my money. And is that everything already? Wait, weapons. Yeah, I already got rid of the stuff. Damn, that wasn't a lot. I feel like that only hit like the 300 mark, unfortunately. That sucks. We got like no money out of that. Honestly, I feel like the best way to get money, unfortunately, is literally just going through the quest line. I want money for the house. I want to be able to access food. Do I want to allow myself? Okay. There's the Tundra Homestead here. It's within the area. It's a very good spot for us. I can leave through the Underforge to the Tundra Homestead, but it's 5,000. Or I can pay the price every time I fast travel to it because I'll be exhausted and I'll have to waste food and time. But we go all the way out here to the Jorvasker styled player house that's out here, and I have to fight a gal for it. I think I'm gonna go with both. We'll use this as a temporary, and the price I pay is having to travel all the way out there. And then we're gonna save. The goal is Tundra Homestead. This Tundra Homestead is not something available to me at the moment. That is not something that is necessarily accessible. Ajit! How are you, buddies?
The road makes this one weary.
That is so fair.
The wind blows bitter cold in this place.
And then auto walk, boop, torch. And we're just gonna run through Whiterun. Because that's the fastest way for me to get here. This is... You could... I guess we could take a cart to Falkreath. Would be slightly faster. Because we have to go... But Falkreath is here. It's not that much different. Because I just have to go around this area. Falkreath would mean wasting money. Is my only issue. It's gonna be about the same travel no matter what. Sheesh, my hands are cold. I just realized how cold they were. That's not fun. Unrelated to Skyrim at all. I usually do Minecraft content. I'm gonna talk about that for a hot second. 4 high guards. For the... 4 colony crafters, project I'm working on. I'm literally just doing a Skyrim player house, like the base game player houses. So I spent like 3 hours. I guess it's semi. I love how this actually gives me sneak XP. It's hilarious. Mud crab. Mud crab. Say the line. We're chill. Say the line. Say the line. You didn't get to say it last time. Come on, I'll let you. Say the line. Why aren't you saying the line?
My name isn't Slick.
I heard someone say it. Not him. Where's your whoop whoops? Give me the whoop whoops. Say the whoop whoop. Come on, say the whoop whoop. How many times do I have to run circles around you guys for you to say the whoop whoop? Say the whoop whoops. Come on, y'all. I got a level up from that. Nice. Say the whoop whoops. Come on. This is just sad. Say the whoop whoop. You're just making normal sounds. Say the whoop whoop. That's another level. I just want y'all to say the whoop whoop. Whoop whoop. Come on, whoop whoop. Do I have to leave and come back? Are y'all a little shy? Hold on, I'll leave, I'll come back, we'll start this all over again. Take 2? Yeah? Why is there a guy out there? Who are you? What are you doing? I'm gonna quick save in case this isn't safe. What are you doing, sir? Bulbous. Hello. Who are you?
Ingredients to bring to the gourmet. He'll think my taste
What?
so refined when I offer them to him. You have heard of the gourmet?
Yes?
Then you know that gourmet keeps his identity a secret. Discover who he is so I can tell him how he changed my life. For all I know, the gourmet is a woman. No. I've
I-
heard the gourmet is in Skyrim right now.
I've never had this interaction. What? Oh, because of the mud crabs. I have never seen this guy. I have never had this interaction. I didn't know this was a thing that existed. Come on, can y'all say the whoop whoops already? I'm gonna get rock joint from letting them do this to me. I swear. Come on. I just want the whoop whoops. Give me the whoop whoop. It's not like I don't have the sounds off. You can hear them going. You can hear them doing their little... creaking? If that's what you'd call that. This is just sad at this point. And okay, I'm just gonna leave them. Oh, my torch ran out. Oh, I can't. Oh. I have no torch, so I can't speed walk across Skyrim. I wasted too much time with that. Where can I get a torch around here? There's a couple wolves over there. I don't honestly know where I can get a torch. Because I didn't see any in there. Is the issue. It was all light fixtures, not torches. But I need a torch. Because I can only sprint so far. And I'm pretty sure that sneak walking with the torch is the same speed as sprinting, minus stamina. Or stamina cost, I should say. Minus the stamina cost. Can I just not? But just in case I will. I'm assuming... Nope, after the... Oh, now they're after me. Free the Elytra Nymph. Since when? Since what? I'm nowhere close to that. Okay, so that quest line that just popped up is like way over there in those trees. I am far, far away from that. Those boys are chilling way back there. It's gonna take a second to see. I can't even see them in my render distance. That's how far away they are. There we go. That's all the way over there. That's the Elytra Nymph. I was way over there. Why did that trigger? That should not have triggered. Okay. Oh, buddy, you need a little help? I'll take the XP. Hopefully I can take a little bit of the aggro. Ooh, my cutscene. There we go.
I'm on my way to Solitude to join the Legion. The United Empire is better.
Shut up, dude. Join the Imperial Legion. How about neither? I don't care about either side this run. Don't need any of it. I don't think that... Okay, I don't think that one has torches either. But we're almost there, kind of. This is the first crossroads, anyhow. Stormcloak Courier, I'd bet. Could he even tell? I was hoping to walk into them and then check from there, but apparently not. That was a beautiful... Okay, I love the cliff sides in Skyrim. I want to do more of this when I'm building in Minecraft. I love these, like, rocky faces. I need to find a way to better accomplish this. What I'm going for right now is, like, a heavy cliff. Kind of like what the Blue Palace has going on. But that's not what I'm actually accomplishing at the moment, unfortunately. So it just kind of looks jank as hell. I need to find some sort of style that would work well. I just wanted to look rocky. And I believe this house is a little more annoying to get to if you don't know how to get to it. We're almost there. Hold on. We're just... Regardless of everything going on here, we're just gonna run. I swear there's bandits. No bandits? Different area, okay. Oh, you can actually see it. You can see it pop up on the map now. People are fighting over there. You're struggling with skeletons. Skeletons, bro. Skeletons. They're skeletons. They're skeletons.
Mistake. I let you live. This time.
I was trying to hit the skeleton. But okay. As long as I don't talk to anybody, we'll be fine. But I used to think I'd have to climb up like the rock side to get to this house, and now you just gotta go up this way. Also, the funniest thing I've ever seen here, and I want to draw a picture of Mew with this, with Skyrim character, because I think it'd just be a funny thing to do. Let me get to it. This is the most obvious Fae trap I've ever seen. Where's that TikTok audio? This is the most obvious Fae trap. I don't know why this is here. I don't know why this is in the game. There's nothing else around here as far as I know. There's no spawn. It's just ridiculous. And funny. There's a dragon spawn right here, but we don't care about that. What I care about is the house hidden around the corner. That you kind of have to run around to get to. There we go. But yeah, this is just Jorvaskr, minus the shields on the side. And they changed the location of the doors. So the doors are up front. But now that we're finally here, I got 3 minutes to do this. Come on, lady, let's go.
You won't be here alive.
I should have saved instead of quick save. Ooh, barely. You know what I need to do, actually? Hold on. I think I've done this before as the funniest way to do this. So you can actually parkour your way up onto this. Oop.
You're as good as dead.
Sure. Ooh. Can I get you trapped somewhere? That'd be great. I need a better spot for myself. Can you get here? I assume not. You're gonna run over there, try and get a better vantage point, but it's not gonna work. What's a good vantage point? I don't got a lot of time to do this, but we're gonna try and do this the best we can. Oh wait, can I bring you to the rocks over here? Oh, hello, bear. Yeah, help me out, please. Not me. Take care of her. Yeah, they're gonna take care of each other for a little bit. While I use my healing. Yeah, there we go. Save me some health potions later. And while you're doing that, while she's slowly taking down the bear, I'm gonna take down her. I'm sure the bear's like almost low, but he's helping out quite a lot. This is the jankiest way to do this, but it's fine. Oh, my kill. You are. Why? You have so much health. My phone is going off. Why do you have so much health? Why so much health, dude? That's not fair. I understand now why she was struggling. Ah, Skyrim jank. As always. Just gotta bounce my way up this mountain. Can I just bow spam you, dude? Because I don't think you can get up here. Oh, you can. Oh, you so can. Kind of, but not really. What are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you going? There he goes. Come back, brown stained bear, or whatever it is. Oh, all the way over there. Where? What are you doing? What is your... Hiding behind the tree. I can barely see... Yep, there you are. Hit that? No. Of course not. What are you doing? The game doesn't even think I'm in combat anymore. It's not even playing music. Ooh, there we go. How long are you gonna stay right there? Oop. Now we got the music again. Okay. And it's gonna cower. I think it's trying to cower, but it's failing incredibly. Right. It's going out. Goodbye. I think it wants to go all the way down the mountain to try and get me, but I don't think that's gonna work. Oh, there you are. Can I hit that? No. Like, what was the 360 for? Why? There we go. It's gonna jank its way up. Nope, it's gonna go around because it thinks I'm all the way around. And now it thinks I'm back. You are like a few hits away, dude. Come on. Let me have it. Ooh, right into bum. Ooh, that hurt. What is this guy doing? He's going crazy. Like, very fitting, it's a bear, but also... This is a little too much, my guy. Come on, no. Barely caught that. That was like a fraction of health, and only 6 arrows back. Yep, of course. Well, house. I have now. I don't care about your no, I care about the... I'll take your ring. Started Hendraheim. Enter your new house. Enter Hendraheim. Yep.
I've been looking for you. Got something I'm supposed to deliver. Your hands only.
So if you kill the girl before she hands you the letter, a courier immediately finds you. So it can give you the original letter. The original challenge. Map updated. No shit. But it's literally just... It's just Jorvaskr. Jorvaskr, but a little bit extra. Super cool, though. I just want the oven. I just want my apple dumplings. And my baked potatoes. Because it's easy food. Look at all those baked potatoes. They're delicious. There we go. Yeah, all that just for that. I'm not gonna steal anything here. I don't even need a bed, actually. We're just heading straight back. I need nothing else. Actually, probably by the time we get there, we can go to the Underforge, and we can immediately start that next time. And I'm almost gonna perfectly end up stopping here at 2 hours, which is fantastic. Actually great for me. So is it gonna be in the middle of the night by the time I get back? I'd imagine so. Oh, yes it is. Is Skjor waiting for me in the Underforge? I'm drained and hungry. Fantastic. Hey, Skjor, do you mind if I go sleep real quick? Because I imagine you're probably sitting out here. No, you're not yet. So he's probably waiting for me to enter here and then go back.
I've been tending to the warriors at your Vasker
as
long as I can remember.
I sleep for like 2 hours in game. Which should... Yeah. I think it wants me to wait till after midnight is the issue. Ooh, there we go. Deadly aim. That's gonna be great, even though I don't need it anymore.
I'm still trying to figure out why Skjor let you in.
But if I ever do need it, I have it.
Vouches for you. I'm sworn to respect their...
Hey, food. Venison chop. That'll do. And Skjor should be waiting for us out here. Skjor? Yeah, he's right there. Okay. So we'll start on this next time. He's gonna like immediately try walking to me. No? Okay. We can start on that ASAP next time. What? Are you moving, dude? He's like, he's kind of walking. Okay. Whatever. Alright, cool. I got a house. It's not Tundra, but I got a house. That's a